Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and viewers. Once again, I am with another episode of Win Life Like a Warrior. Today's episode is very special because I got a real warrior. So far, I have been telling that warrior doesn't mean that every time you have to go and fight in the battlefield with weapons and ammunition, because I always propagated that you have to find the demons within you, and that is the warrior. But here I have a gentleman who is, in true sense, the warrior, as well as the warrior outside the forces. And he is really come up from that special forces, which we really appreciate, and everyone looks forward to talking to such people. And not only that, he has gone through a lot of ups and downs in his early life. And finally, he's made it to the defense forces, and that to the special forces. And thereafter, after having come back from the special forces, he is now a CEO and the founder of an organization called that is your Specialist Advisory and Intervention Group. Now helping the organization to overcome their challenges, and that is what Captain Albert Lewis, Para Commando, and that is the bottom line. So Albert, welcome to the show Win Life Like a Warrior.
Good evening, sir, and thank you so much for this honor, sir. Thank you so much. Humble, sir. Humble.
Yeah. So Albert, to start with, everyone has some dream when he is as a student or teenage, and everyone look forward to do something different in life. And as I understand that your childhood has been little challenging, and thereafter then you decided to altogether change that lifestyle in your early days of teenage. So would you like to share something from your beginning?
Yeah, certainly. Yes, indeed. Like majority of us, I come from a very common family.
Absolutely.
My mother, she was a nurse, almost 30 plus years. She was serving people in a private hospital. And my dad used to fix TVs and VCRs. He was the tech guy.
I know.
So as kids, we often walked around and you would find all these instruments. We knew where we were going to get electrocuted and where we wouldn't get electrocuted. So we were that close to technology from that.
I know.
So unfortunately, it's not necessary that everybody's TVs and VCRs get damaged very often. That means only when something goes wrong, you would get a chance. And so, yes, it was a challenging environment. Grew up in the early days in a joint family, and again, the dynamics of all that. So where I am now, and if I were to completely trace back, I never imagined to be here to start with. Never ever imagined. It didn't exist in the environment that we grew up. You think about things one layer, two layer from the environment you're born into, but you never think that fast how many layers and hurdles can be overcome straight away, because the environment around you tells you that to do those first layer or second layers, but they never tell you, okay, as a kid, that you can be this. Nobody's going to come and tell you. They'll come and tell you, listen, apna level mein socho.
Yes.
More often than not, people would tell you, be in your ring. Don't try to overthink and think that you're going to become Mr. X on top.
Don't try to break the box.
Yes. And it's conventional, because they keep saying that you will fall flat. And that instills certain doubt amongst people. But then there are some kind of people like us who really love the fact that people do say that, and you want to challenge exactly that norm. So I wanted to be a fighter pilot, to be frank. Science, and I tried to carry on with that life where I could channelize myself in the science stream so that I would be ready for. But somehow, certain situations in life kind of led me and gave me the opportunity for Army. And once I got into the Army, at least a month or so, sir, the call letter for Air Force came. And my senior under officer, he just tore it and said that, listen, you're better off in the army. I did not understand that. I was pretty heartbroken at that time. But today I look back and I'm so grateful to God and army, because without army, I don't think, sir, anything would have been possible.
I know. But Albert, if I'm not wrong, you were a very happy, lucky kid in the sense that couldn't care less kind of thing, and singing, playing music and other things, and chilling with the girls and all. So what was that means life all about?
So as a youngster, what happens is you are chasing that happiness, that endorphin over there.
Yeah.
And quickly you realize, I was into a band. I was a death metal bassist, one of the earliest bands, death metal bands in the country. And now that you realize that, before we didn't know, now you trace back history and trace the bands, you realize that you're one of the first bands there. So I was into music. I was, that was my thing, playing on the stage and singing and stuff and all. But then you quickly realize that what you're born into gives you a certain situation, and you wake up to the reality that you got to get serious in life at some point, right?
Yeah.
And I was in all the not so good crowd, hanging out in the not so good crowd, and often labeled as the black sheep in the family. All my cousins used to be said, listen, stay away from this guy because this guy's an extremely bad influence. There is no hope. So much so that when I joined army and I went back to my college, my professors, they have a lot of love, but they say that, listen, dude, if you can change,
anybody can change.
You are such a reckless guy. If you can, you're so bad that we never hoped that you would do anything in life. If you can change, there is a God and there is hope for every person out there. So at some point you start getting into a little bit of seriousness in life, because now you need to step forward. At a certain age, sir, you have to take responsibility. You got to stop saying that, hey, listen, I'm born into this environment. This is a situation I have. You can keep saying that, and till the end of life, you'll keep doing that. But at some point, you got to act and switch on and be responsible and say, I got to take my life in my own hands, and I got to steer it no matter what. And it was not about chasing money or anything. It was just chasing things that you believed was harder than what you were told that. You were generally conditioned to think in a way, but it was all about, okay, you're saying that I can't do it. Well, let's try.
So, Albert, वो कौन सा moment था before going to the army where you really realize यार बहुत हो गया, चलो मुझे responsible बन जाना चाहिए.
So that traces back to a love story.
You want to listen to that?
Yeah. I've been quite a hopeless romantic, I would say. After time chasing love. Well, I was seeing this girl and she was pretty well to do so. And things were not going well. And obviously, her father, the classical scene of comparing who you are, where you come from, and what you have in your pocket is a very conventional thing.
For a father.
Yeah. So I had a pretty big dress down on this, that, hey man, where you live, my car wouldn't come. What your entire monthly expenditure of your family is not even what I give my girl, pocket money. So, those classic things, I've got battered like multiple times. And somewhere I was looking for, anyway, so it's army is not an accident. Yeah. I must admit that.
Yeah.
I, as a child, was always tuned to the fact that I wanted to do something in the defense forces. And I don't know, perhaps I've heard I've not seen, but my grandfather had something to do with the army, and my uncle also had to do something in the army. But I always kept that close to my heart. So the only difference was that I wanted to join the Air Force, and I got a call letter for army, which came earlier. But apart from that, serving the nation was always something that always stuck in my head. Nothing excited me more than that. So this situation turned up, and obviously my reputation wasn't that good. The crowd that I hang out with, getting into all kinds of trouble. So when I got this opportunity, I thought that maybe perhaps I should wait for the Air Force thing to come. But then I was also under extreme pressure. to prove myself and kind of get this tag gone, sir. Redemption was something I was craving for.
I know.
And back in the time, it was not easy to get that many job opportunities in a place like this. Today, people have so many options to think from. It was like you missed the bus and then that's it. You keep standing in the bus stop forever. So when I got this opportunity, I thought maybe I can redeem myself and I could earn some respect and rewrite what my past is and completely shed my skin, have a metamorphosis, and then become something new.
That's the Albert is realization at some point of time, though you might have been insulted by the girl father, whatever way it was, but you were not broken. You found the way out to redeem your past and how to wash over those bad thing, maybe that bad situations or bad company. And finally, what you are saying is that redemption was the time. And so finally, when you went to the, you made it to the army or the SSB, see, the leadership quality you already had. It's only that how you should show them off to the world. So how those environment under which you have grown up, that ups and downs of your life, of course, and there were a lot of ups and downs, but that, of course, made you mentally tough. And how that helped you in the SSB or maybe during your training part?
So two things I believe. One is the toughness of your mind and body. That's very important.
Yeah.
The other is the value system that you have either created in your own heart, the mind and soul, or the upbringing that you have. Now, I got to thank my parents very clearly for the very first part, the value systems.
Yeah.
Extreme value systems where I've seen my mom, there is nothing to eat also. At home, some guest comes in, she would just take the whole thing and without even making the other person realize, and they entirely give the entire food to the guest, and she would still sleep hungry, and we've also done that. So the value system, she being a nurse, the care and all that stuff, that was very clear. One was. The second thing was that I had two great friends who was extremely adventurous, and as tiny tots, we were out there fishing, hunting, doing everything possible outdoor. So hence that love affair of that somewhere was already in the body and in the system. Now coming to the SSB, I knew nothing. I see people ask me even today on Instagram what to do for SSB. I keep telling myself, Jesus Christ, man, I myself don't know why. What is the secret? I am not competent to tell you what should you do or what you should not do. And I remember this time when most of the people were going to these academies where they would get trained and coached and stuff. I never could afford it, so I never bothered. And the day when I got a call letter, I went and asked a friend who had just come back from Bangalore. And I asked him, and he's a great guy. He said, man, I don't know what they do. I think just be yourself, be honest, and just be straightforward. And give it your best and just keep a positive mind. And never say die attitude, which was already there. We've got into situations while hanging out in places where we've almost died. But just that sheer willpower that we've got ourselves out as children, we've got into all kinds of places. We've got stuck in quicksand to you name it. We've got into all kinds of problems. We've always been out. So I went to SSB without any understanding of what SSB is and what the army wants. What I did focus on is I never had this ever. I don't let a thought come in that, what if I fail? I just don't, for some reason, sir, I don't have that thinking. I don't give room to that thinking because I know it's like a bad spirit.
Yeah.
Give it room, a little bit, a toe in the door or a finger, then it just gets into your brain and occupies. So the moment such a thought comes, I said, kill it. So I just went there, so I just did what was honest, what they asked, tell the truth. And people ask, sir, how to prepare for SSB, what to study. I guess my answer is, sir, please don't study anything. Why don't you change yourself to be a gentleman or to be as the armed forces would want you to be? There is a certain value system. Forget studying. Just imbibe those qualities. And then I don't think you need to study anything, frankly. So that's my case, sir. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a qualified person to comment.
No. You're rightly said, Albert. And see, what they are looking for is you should be yourself. You can't hide yourself. They will find out what you are. Okay. And be genuine. That is what is there. In fact, that reminds me when I also went, and I went to the Bhopal. You know.
Same here, sir. Bhopal.
Oh, yeah. I too went to Bhopal. And, like you, I don't have anybody in my family who was in army, and I was the first one. So I asked someone who was in army, maybe some officer only, sir, what to prepare? Because I'm an engineering graduate. What to prepare for that? So he said, nothing of engineering, nothing of engineering. And one thing he said, the one statement he said is that they are not looking for that you are an officer. Officer, they will make you. They are looking for whether you deserve to become an officer or not. So it is something like that you are a खोखा of a torch. वो सेल तो वो तुम्हें बाद में डाल देंगे, जला भी देंगे. But you should be actually worth a खोखा of the torch.
That's a great way to see it.
Yeah, that was my learning. And I went like you, just that. And in first attempt, that's what you also experienced that. So yes, they want originality. They don't want fake people. They want honest and positive people.
Though I never understood that at that point, sir, but definitely in special forces, now when you start selecting the people,
then
you know exactly why you want who you want. And you're looking for real people. You're looking for people who have a soul and who will stand by. You're not looking for those exceptional minds. There is a certain trait that we're looking for. Yeah.
Then I think after this, you might have reached your academy. So which one you went from? You went to
OT.
Okay. So how was the life there? Means how did you experience there going from the civil environment where you had a music, whether you had a singing and you had a girls chilling around? So what was it?
So I got selected and I had that, what is that? Warrant to travel, no warrant, yeah.
Yeah.
But I had no money for the DD.
Oh.
That was quite challenging.
Yeah.
I asked everybody I knew, nobody helped. Even though in a month or so we get that stipend. I said, yeah, give me 1 month and I'll just, what is it, 7,000, 8,000 odd bucks back in time. Just, I didn't get help. People I thought, nobody helped. But this is great, great man. He is Lieutenant Commander back then in the Navy. Commander Vijay Raghavan. Great guys.
Somewhere you grew up seeing the Navy man because
coaching. Exceptional. Like he was very happy the fact that I wanted to join the armed forces.
Yeah.
So I had the warrant. I had no money to travel for the one of the concept was you had to have the DD of X amount also when you join. So I was hell bent that I was going to go to the academy. Say, listen, I don't have the money. Maybe you can take it, cut it from me. I don't know these concepts. So I was like, I am going. I have it. I'm going. So I remember the next day I was supposed to catch the train and he was sitting in his place and he asked me, son, what's happening? I said, sir, this is what's it. I've showed that. I went and tomorrow's the train and they're asking for this DD, but nobody is helping. And this great man, he went inside, he gave the money and he said, son, just keep it to yourself. Don't tell anyone.
Oh, fantastic.
And that allowed me to reach academy. Academy was cultural shock for me, but not in a way because I was being like this little gangster floating around. And back in college, I studied in a boys' college, which was notorious. So none of the things that it was not shocking to me. So yes, sir. Academy was a cultural shock in a way, but it was okay for me. I've been there in that thug life much before.
Yeah. So any incident or accident you recall during that academy time where people must have really made some incident you don't forget?
Sir, kuch bhi bolo, main bahut disciplined aadmi. I don't get I'm not kidding. I know it's sometimes people think that लोग SF में सारा ये rule breakers है. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है सर. ये गलत फहमी है. हम बहुत ऊंची है. कभी situation makes you don't think about consequences and act, but that's a different story. But generally in academy, I have always escaped or rather, I've never given myself a chance to get punished. But towards the end, because of some other issue, which had not much of my contribution, but being in a group, I happen to get restrictions towards the end. But in academy, I've always been simple, docile, aam aadmi wala GC sir. Very nobody notices.
In fact, Albert, there's quite a similarity. You said that you also from Bhopal SSB, and I also from Bhopal, but I did go to IMA, you went to OTA. But I also, the entire year, did not get a single even heckle order.
See, yeah.
Punishment, not even a heckle order. I mean, I was as such a disciplined outside also and even in the academy. But in the end, again, I got caught once when gone the liberty without any permission. And one DS, whom I keep meeting now here in the while walking, fantastic person, and who was a biggest abuser, matlab choicest of abusers, like a symphony ki tarah music nikalta tha. And this guy, when he caught us, he called us to his office next day, and we went there. We were 3-4 of them. We were coming from that Dehradun city, and then we were caught on the way to IME. So he gave us some time, and we were there, I think 10 o'clock in the morning, and we waited till 1 o'clock. When the lunchtime happened, he never came, he never checked, and we came back, and that's it. Thereafter, nothing. So that was the last incident. So no more. I think that must be the one example where no punishment at all. Probably.
Towards the end, last jab parents वगैरह आता है, unfortunately, it was at that last end of it. So when they are there, I am running, and I used to feel bad. Yeah, throughout, I never did anything wrong. Even if the ustad is not looking, I will push up. The push up, जैसे बोला ऐसे ही करूँगा मैं. You'll not cut any corner, but still. But then that's how it is. Your friends and group will always get you some sweets.
But I believe, Albert, at one point of time, you felt like quitting the academy and going back to your home.
Yeah, I did, sir. So I did tell you the story of the girl. Yeah. And so, frankly, sir, at that point, somewhere I was just thinking about redeeming myself to be, the relationship was all in my head at that time. So if somebody asked me at that point, I say, why are you here? I think candidly, I will tell you that I would say, because of this relationship, I want to become something so I can, probably get a step out and have a life and not be seen that way. Like, wash your sins off kind of thing and see in a better light so that I feel myself to be worthy. And things didn't work out with this person. For some reason, I got a letter and it states that it's not going to happen. That kind of crushed my spirit, because the whole purpose of me going through all this was that. So I did call my mother, and my mother is a very soft person. Nurse, she's like a polar bear, very ice, simple. And because of my issues back then, I was not very close to my family, not much in talking terms. Obviously, they had enough of me, so I also very gracefully distanced myself. They also had to, because there are the siblings who are growing up. Joint family. One guy cannot just pollute the whole environment. So I had even forgotten my Darka number. So a chota sa book tha, called my mom and I had a conversation. I said, I don't have any more heart to be here. The reason why I'm here is done. And so I said, I'm done. I don't want to be here. I'm coming back. So my mother is not a tactician or anything. Neither does she have smart, very wise words. She always keeps telling you. Some parents do, no? All the time they give you these one-liner. No. And my mother is the last person I would expect anything like that. Maybe my dad. But she said, hey, listen, well, the girl is gone. Well, you can leave and come. And you can be a loser. Everybody can call you a loser. Or you could just win in life, complete it, and then go on with your life and then change your life. Then people will come to you.
Yeah.
And she didn't continue the conversation, and very unlike other times, she just like, and this hit me like literally. Wow, that really makes sense. So there are times that you can feel completely broken down for X, Y, Z reason. I was a youngster and I was in love, and perhaps that is the only thing that at that age, everything
Yes.
else in the world, because we don't know, chemically it doesn't work. You're not engineered to think beyond that when those
Yes. Yes.
thinking happens. So anybody and everybody out there will face all kinds of challenges. It
And
is
that is where we say that it is the parents who show you the sometimes the direction, and this is your mother who give you that wisdom at that moment of time. If winners don't quit, and quitters don't win. And
So I
that
feel
is,
that there are three elements in this.
yeah,
One, gracefully, the parents. Okay. Number two, you don't need a lot of friends. You need one or two confidants. That's all you need in life. Who
absolutely
genuinely believes in you or just wants you to do good in life.
yes,
You need 100 people. This whole thing, I need 1,000 friends on Instagram. No.
no,
There's one or two people who genuinely care. And the
absolutely,
third said, you got to love yourself and think for yourself also at that point. Where
yes,
those two, the first two can tell you, but the onus of changing and doing it completely lies on you.
yes. You are responsible for your life. You are
Absolutely. You can't blame anybody. You just can't blame anybody.
there is a saying that your life is your responsibility, your obligation, your duty towards your success.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
and really good that your mother brought that point of time, and it's a transition of life of your after that.
Major ones.
Yeah, yeah,
You look at parallel universes. If this happened, what would happen?
yes,
That is a major Y junction in my life.
yeah, yeah. So after that OTA training and academy and all those ups and downs going in the mind and life and everything, how the thing progressed once you moved out of academy?
Yeah. Yes, sir. So
You were a science graduate. You were a, I think
I got signals.
physics honors.
Yeah, I got signals,
Yeah,
and this thing was called out, and they said 25 IDSR, and I was like, where
yeah,
is that? I asked because I had no clue about army, so I asked around, and my DS said it's in Rajouri. So first I was like, oops, isn't that the place where people get hit so much that it is not no more a news because it takes too much of a news, space that it goes as a ticker. Militant kill, Fauji kill, militant kill, Fauji kill. Isn't that place that? So I was like, first I was like, the genuine reaction of a civilian who has gone into army, like, oh man, I'm getting into the hot zone. So, yeah, yes, sir. So it was interesting. I'll tell you why. Because apart from academy, I've never seen army. So I landed in Jammu, sir, a little bit early. A good friend of mine, father was DG, DIG, CID or something. I remember. He was the JNK police, the senior officer. So that day he told me, let's go and I'll take you for lunch. So meanwhile, he said, you have to go to the police office headquarters or somewhere. And I was sitting in the other room and I suddenly had one small blast. So the first day I'm landing in Jammu. And Jammu those days, like, sir, everywhere firecrackers were just a norm. IED blast, this, that. It was just a normal thing that was happening there. So for me, it was a new exposure. Chennai mein theek hai sir, Fauji Waji sab kiya, but now you're going to the real place. So that day, in the lab, there was this forensic lab and some grenades had been seized. So this gentleman who was handling it, for some reason, the detonator blasted, and right in the next room, we were sitting in this gentleman's office, and we could hear, and we just went there. So the first thing is, there is this guy who had lost his finger, and the blood was all spurting. And then the whole drama of taking the gentleman to the. So this was my first exposure reaching Jammu. And I'll be honest, the first time you get in contact with the real stuff,
yeah,
this was not even real, so somebody else had got injured. Then you start waking up to the reality. Academy is different, and this is different. So yeah.
So, Anwar, what was the see? Once you are going to the army, finally your parents also know that you are going to Rajouri. And generally, the parents जिनके कोई background नहीं होती army की, and once they know that he is now going into the area where the terrorism is there,
they didn't know. They were not that qualified. There's an interesting kahani behind that also. Yeah. So they
And
did.
also that background when you finally got commission, they might have come for pipping ceremony or something, and then what was their reaction? Means finally the parents were must be very proud of you.
Yes, sir. I think my father and mother would have been relieved that ये सड़क से निकल के थोड़ा बंदा बन गया. I guess. I think that would have been their first reactions. Firstly, because there is enough examples around here.
Did they come for the pipping?
Yes, they did. They did.
Very nice.
They did come for the pipping ceremony, and I guess that it's my thoughts. I never asked them. That sort of communication didn't exist. I did send the invitation, and they came. Like I said, sir, the circumstances in which I came to the academy was not very family oriented, but very my own life and destructive approach in life and redemption that led me there. So yes, they did feel proud, and I believe that they feel proud, and they are proud because they're not very expressive. So I don't know what it is.
Yes. Most parents are like that. Most parents, they don't express to their children.
Certainly, and I believe, yeah, and I believe they would be proud.
So then finally you landed up in the signals, and means you had a first experience in Jammu and all, and then must have landed up in Rajouri.
Yes.
What after that? So
Rajouri, sir, it was very exciting, but the whole आवाज सब बाहर था, sir. Like all the tuck 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 was outside, and it used to keep me up every night in the beginning itself. And I started thinking to myself, I don't want to be inside the four walls. I want to be outside where that is happening. And I don't know, it just kept that whole thought process kept creeping in. I expressed this to my senior subaltern. He said, shut up and keep your mouth shut and do your job. You have no clue where you have come. You have come to the best life you can imagine. Okay? There is nothing better than this. And he gave me the perks and merits. And even if you're a brigade sparrow, you will have your family there. And so I'm like a bachelor. I'm thinking, I'm not even bothered about that, man. I'm heartbroken already. I thought about it, but yeah. So he gave me all the pluses in life, and I had nothing to argue against the merits of being in Signal, from whether it's the technology, the education. It is just the thought that I just want to be there. I don't know how I can't justify to you. So he advised me.
Do you recall that who was the senior subaltern that time?
Yes, sir. There was this gentleman called Sunil. But yeah, Sunil karke, he is senior subaltern. He said, yeah, dude, you have no clue. You're too young to understand. Time and age will tell you what the value is. But sir, yes, what you think at that time is what you think.
He was right in his own way.
He was right in many ways, and there is no dispute about it. It is just about the fact that this is good doesn't mean that this is not good.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yes.
And today I have the experience and wisdom and age to identify what he was trying to say. Yes. The exceptional value there. I understand, sir.
Yes.
But it's just that both things were good. He was in love with this. I was in love with this.
Yes.
We happened to be both here. That's all. Nothing else. He was in love with that girl. I was in love with this girl. That's it. Nothing else. Both were beautiful, sir. All right. So there's nothing. He gave me advice. ज्ञान दिया तो मैंने सुन लिया. उसके बाद I was getting restless because I just couldn't hold it anymore. So slowly from senior subaltern it went to team commander, company commander, ninth, and then slowly 2IC and CO. That's when the
fireworks.
That's when the fireworks. And the old man heard, एक तो पराक्रम चल रहा है सर, ऐसे officer नहीं है. And 25 ideas, sir, it's one of those exceptional units.
I know.
It's mind-blowing unit. So the commitment that 25 ideas are had, the officers were anyway less. And ऊपर से एक youngster मिल गया, वो भी जाना चाहता है. It didn't work, so the equation wasn't just right. So बाकी सर अभी मैं कैसे बताऊं?
But I can understand.
So in short, if I were to summarize without it was not the right thing from the family side. That is, the regiment was the family, and they were like feeling that, hey man, I came and I'm abandoning it for somebody else, a new family, which is what I feel, which was really hurtful for them. And as any family would have that feeling, he doesn't love us, he loves another family. So you start getting distance, and it starts growing. And so did my desire and to go. So obviously, as this family would try to retain you, many things happen. In the end, as a rebel, sir, I broke free against all the norms and risk, and I just got out, sir. So my signal CEO, all said and done, I guess he must be an exceptional man that he didn't have me hung upside down. I have to thank him, because we all know what a CEO is. CEO is everything, everything. And I believe my signal CEO was somebody who had greater mind. Of course, he was hurt that I was going, but at the same time, when I made this whole thing that I am going, he was kind enough to
let you go.
Let me go.
Yeah.
In the end, though I had to go through a lot of hardships, but I think he was a great man. He did let me go. He did see that in the end. It took some time, but I think he's understood that in my soul, I wanted to be in SF. Yeah. He let me go, because without a secret blessing, sir, I don't think.
I know.
Yeah.
So, listeners or viewers, I must tell you, he is one officer which is very rare breed of kind. He was in a fantastic communication unit, being a physics graduate, in a unit where all technology is there, the latest technologies are there. And he had a technical bent of mind, there is no doubt in that. But heart of heart, he was a tactician. Rather than the technology, he was a tactician. And he wanted to go where the action is there on ground, where the bullets are firing left, right, center. And he opted for that. That means you need a very large heart for that. Means he got out of comfort zone and wanted to be in the action zone. And that's what he is. So
the interesting part is, sir, when people hear that you're getting posted to 25 IDSR, that means you're going to Noshera, Rajouri, Punch, and all those places.
Yeah, I know.
Also, that itself was in the community a dangerous enough place to be.
Yes.
Yeah. So the thought of going from there to even more something complicated and risky, people would generally label you a little
cranky. Yes.
Yeah.
And special forces need that kind of people. So once you reach there in the special forces, I believe it might have been in the Udhampur.
Jesus, Udhampur.
Yeah,
that's our base. Though we
how was the reception there, and how the thing progressed there?
There's no reception committee and all, sir. Nothing. So, sir, you know, they say the trunk. आजकल तो suitcase हो गया, और metal trunk, है ना? I had that metal trunk, so academy issue वाला bedding, sir, that which is already a very heavy thing. So I had that, the trunk and backpack. I landed in Udhampur TCP, अपना transit camp, and now I don't know what to do. So I call up 9 para, वहाँ से exchange से. अब उस टाइम पे पता है कैसे एक्सचेंज सिग्नल वाला है, तो कल कि यार मुझे 9 पैरा से बात करना है, बात करवाया. तो माय एडजुटेंट पिक्ड अप, who was later my team commander. He said, हाँ, yeah. I said, sir, I'm Albert and I've come for probation. हाँ, Louis, yes, बोलो, कहाँ पे तू? मैंने बोला, सर मैं इधर उधर. ठीक है, आ जाओ. No, actually, he said, sir, I'm here in Udhampur. तो आ जाओ. Now, I didn't say anything more. Neither. I was kind of stressed that I should. So there is this whole stories that float around that when you reach a SF unit, anything crazy can happen, which is unpredictable. So I thought my probation is already started. He said, "Aa jao." So I thought it was a test. So I took all this trunk, the bedding, and the backpack, and I'm walking through Northern Command like a coolie. So there was. So I did this and I reached outside the Northern Command road पे आगा, private road पे, और एक buses जाते हैं सर, mini tempo traveler type, उस पे सब ऊपर चढ़ाया और फिर मैं पहुंच गया यूनिट में, फिर वहां से कूली की तरह मैं आ रहा, रात हो गया सर, शाम के टाइम पे इट्स ऑलरेडी लाइक लेट हो गया था। सर मैं ये सब लेके ऑफिस में आ गया, एंड आई केप्ट द स्टफ एंड माय टीम कमांडर इज लाइक, हु वाज द एडजुटेंट, से व्हाट द फक इज दिस? ऐसे सर आपने बोला आने के लिए, यार तू गाड़ी बोल देता है यार, मैं गाड़ी भेज देता हूँ, तो इससे उठा के क्यों है? But sir, you will not believe any word they say, right? You are already thinking that आपका प्रोबेशन शुरू हो गया बस, अभी जो भी बोलेगा, whatever you say, think will be held against you, kind of thing. What an idiot! Just said, sir, I'm here. Send me a vehicle and we will send you. So this is one thing I loved about Nines, and it's a no nonsense unit.
Yeah, of course.
I just can't be grateful enough for this, because it is such a simple unit, sir. There is no frills, nothing like ki ye karke wo karo. Nobody's trying to show anything there. It's like, bro, you should have told me. I didn't know that. I thought you were in the lines. That's why I told you to come.
Oh.
So it's that simple. It is not like, probationer mil gaya, abhi isko bandar bana dete. Kuch nahi, sir. Nothing. Never seen that in 9.
It was a communication gap.
It was a communication gap. But it was such a smooth thing, sir. But of course, what they make you do is different.
Yeah.
But the point is, it is not like one of those कि आप आ गए तो आपको बंदर बनाया. ना sir. बिल्कुल respectfully they'll ask you to do what you should do.
Yeah.
And respectfully they'll tell you to go also if you don't do.
Yeah. So during the probation, I'm sure the probation must be the brutal. And if for our listeners, if you can tell, because everybody wants to know what special forces really learn and do. So if you can tell something about that, what exactly SF is looking for, even in the army officer. You are already army, you have already come 1 year training in the academy, and thereafter they make you undergo another training of special forces. So what exactly?
So I can tell you few things. What for me, what that experience is.
Yeah.
I would have seen outside, sir, because as signaler, I've been to many units. I've been to many units. I would have seen people feel that they did something great, and of course they have done something great, and they have this air about themselves. Let's say you are capable of doing one thing, and then you meet the other guy who's capable of doing 100 things, but then they are so down to earth, they're not even talking about the capability that they have. Now that's clearly the experience that I had from whether it's from the topmost seniors to my the NCOs, the training NCOs or the regular NCOs. There is no differentiation. हमारे वहाँ पे training NCO ऐसे कुछ नहीं है सर. जो है वो train करेगा. जो operations थोड़ा break मिला वहाँ नीचे है, वो training करेगा. बाकी, so it's all live guys. There is no special cells. It's the hardcore guys who's going to have you. And so is the Javans. So from the junior most to the top most, I felt that there was a sincere humility, number one. Sincere humility. But at the same time, they were very straightforward. It doesn't matter you are a general. It doesn't matter you are a captain. It doesn't exist in their head. A paratrooper doesn't think that you are a general. Yes, he understands as a Fauji that you are a general. But what is the fact? He is clear about it, because when he's sent, if information goes left, right, center, sir, and you don't tell the truth, and you say it can be done when it can't be done, then not only you will die, the mission will also have its implications.
Yes.
So that approach was very clear. That approach was very clear, which I loved the fact that when I reached there. The other aspect is that against all the stories that float around that aapko ye karenge, wo karenge, I realized that they were so clear that they knew what they wanted out of you and what they are going to make you do. And it wouldn't be कि पूरा एक old monk का bottle पिला के आपको 40 किलोमीटर दौड़ा के. There is no combat in real world that you have to drink an old monk and run 40 kilometers. They are not bothered about it. If you are a vegetarian, they are not going to tell you कि तुम खाओगे because you've come. No. You say यार ठीक है मत खाओ यार. But वो जो सर्वाइवल का जो मोड आएगा, सब कुछ खाओगे, ठीक है. Then don't tell your religion and all that stuff. Then you're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be practicing something, but you are a combatant in a unit like this, and we would want you to be prepared for a certain thing, and that is very clear. And people who do not hold those things in their head and are supremely clear that mission comes before everything else.
Yes.
Yourself, family, religion, everything else, sir. Your mission is the only thing in your mind. If you have that mindset, then you are part of 9. Your frills and your unnecessary page ke beech mein bookmark nahi rakhna. We don't need that. So that is one of the greatest things. Standards were very high, sir. What it was okay as excellent in army? No, it was not acceptable by him. And 9 has its own unique, like everybody has their own stuff. 9, I can only speak about 9. And I only dare to speak about 9 because that's my unit. So it has its own unique, crazy stuff that you're asked to do so that it fits the family of 9. We have a character of operating. We have a sort of environment that we operate in. So that standards are very high. So it has been very different, sir. It has been very different. And sir, hand holding bahut hai, sir. And I must say that to whoever is thinking, hand holding is there. There is kindness, there is respect in 9, which I felt throughout. No NCO is treating you like there are enough ways to test your brain's capability rather than be abusive or harassing. No, sir. I've never seen that in 9. Everybody was respectful.
So, in fact, the very important thing which you mentioned, in fact, for the viewers, I can repeat that. You see, you said first thing is the humility. One has to be humble. So that's the greatness of as an officer also. Then you said that value system. Then there is nothing like that ki wo jabardasti aapko ram pila ke daudayenge. I mean, these are the myths you have busted. You see, a lot of people have these myths. And on the top of it, you said that there are no frills or hanky-pankies. It is a right, straightforward, genuine qualities which you need to become a special forces guy. And of course, mental toughness, psychological, all these things are part of that only. So good to know, Albert, because we also didn't know much about those forces.
So there is a common myth that you being in special forces is a very ultra complicated mindset that you need.
Yeah.
And sir, I would beg to differ. Some of the most straightforward, simple people are in special forces. They don't know how to complicate things.
Yeah.
Please be advised that you have to understand that they are not by nature somebody who knows how to misconstrue or twist or do things. It is by their very DNA of not just their body but their soul that they are straightforward people who work. So the simplest people are in special forces. The simplest people, not like twisted people. There is no twisted people around. I must say this.
Basically, to solve any problem, you have to simplify the problem. You can't complicate the problem, then you start solving it.
And that's you can't be shrewd, sir. You can't, sir. There is something called honor among thieves. This old saying, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's something similar to that. As a teammate, as a family, you have to be as transparent and straight. If I don't know you to the depth of your soul, I don't think, sir, you and I can go in an operation. Yes. You might be the greatest guy on the planet. If I don't feel that I know you or you've let me in to the depth of your soul, then I don't think so. It's like the biggest relationship. It's the biggest marriage.
Can I put across this another quality of this, that Special Forces Para Commando has to be patiently aggressive and speed with stability. You have to have a speed in action, but with a stable mind. And you have to be aggressive but patient. I think these are the two very important qualities of any Para Commando.
So I've seen the aggression that you spoke about, sir, the word aggression. I feel that as a special force unit, we hold extreme capability with aggression. But the fact is, some of the softest and most loving people I have come across are the same people who can met down that level of aggression force on the enemy. At the same time, be respectful and tender with the right people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So no, basically that is what is that, not treating the people as a commodity, rather treating with the human angle. Human angle.
And so much love, sir. You got to treat everybody with love.
Yeah.
Love transcends everything. It's very bizarre when you say that we are people who are very tender inside.
Yeah.
There are two sides to us. I will say there are two sides. One that we switch on when we have to deal with the people who threaten our people and our nation and our nation. The other is genuinely love people, respect people, care for people. If you don't have that, sir, I don't think if you don't have love in your heart, you can be an SF person. Like you could be a psycho. You could be a psycho who can do many crazy things. I don't think if you don't have genuinity and love within your heart, you are not a right commodity for us. You could be dangerous. We don't want that kind of people, sir.
Yeah.
We don't want that. And I think we are very clear on that. You might be fit, you can do stuff, but no, you have to have respect, sir. Very important.
Basically, the typical, the best qualities of an officer and gentleman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sir, people think that SF has some magic book of tactics, but believe me, sir, the fundamentals of SF operation is the infantry operation tactics, which are very religiously and seriously taken into consideration. We don't take infantry tactics lightly. We practice it to a level of exceptional proficiency. That's all. So the rules are the same, sir. It is just how much you give into practicing and doing it together with the rest.
I know. I can understand now that. So, if I say in one single sentence that you are a SF commando and Para Commando, you have to be the best human being as well. You are the best human being.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Then you could be the best.
Human being is the first thing, sir.
Yeah. So, any incident or accident of that tenure, Albert, if you can share something of that, means where without unclassifying anything which is of nature of the secrecy, means any moment of that where you felt, yeah, this really changed the course of some life or some anything which you feel is complete.
Sir, personally, I'm not a person who likes to discuss anything that is related to ops or anything that I know about ops in any platform for that matter. And there are people who give examples of what happened. And I don't think my seniors also would like that if I come on a platform and talk about it.
But you don't have to discuss operations, I'm not saying. But I'm saying any incident where you really feel, yes, this touched your heart or this touched your situation. Anything which you are.
Yeah, we have had genuine situations where, against all odds, we've had situations where we've had injuries where it is just impossible to bring the person down and take care of, probably save the person. And at points where you feel that the help is so far away from where you are, and you could be running down the hill to the road, which is so far, your own physical body's limit doesn't allow you to reach or push so far with a casualty in your arms or hands.
Yeah.
But just the fact that you keep reminding that he would have done the same for you, he is your brother.
Yeah.
And there is no way on the planet that you will give up to get what is best or to protect the one next to you. So that attitude always remains.
Yeah.
The other attitude is that we never believed in proclaiming what we did. And there are enough times where we have kind of work with others with the whole intention that we will be behind the curtain, you be in the front.
Yeah.
Our job is not to get the numbers, literally. Our job is to do the action to eliminate the bad out of that.
Mission accomplished.
Yes, that is our job. But the credentials for it, maybe it's good you take it. We are not very concerned about it. The other aspect is that I have never seen anybody who in my environment that I have operated or lived in take anything lightly. Anything lightly. You could be an officer, but your paratrooper, if he says something, there is no hierarchical system which is there. So there are times when in the earlier days, there was a time when one of my JCO, literally stamped me from top. There was this fire that is coming from this angle. And so it's a slope, sir, slope. So I was trying to do this and I was just born into it. So he just stamped me. He was standing a little up and he just stamped me and pushed me. And the rounds were going.
So he realized that gravity of where it is coming.
He anticipated, but the firefight to slope mein tha. So we are on top and it was a very steep slope, So this is coming up and he just stamped me. Now, typically, you imagine if a JCO did that.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Different thought process spins in, but here that doesn't exist. You are grateful for the paratrooper or everything that is done. There is nothing like I am an officer.
Yeah. He did it to save the life of yours.
And he would, more than that, he did actually to teach me.
Yeah.
So the teaching part the wisdom trickles down generations.
Yes.
There are people who have walked many more miles than you.
Yes.
And what they teach is gold.
Yes.
Pure gold. So they teach you without hesitation. They'll tell you if you're an idiot, they'll tell you you're an idiot.
Yeah. And that's what they needed.
Yes. So you may end up and get stuck up that I am an officer. How could you say that? I know more than you. And people fall for this, sir, in life. This is one of the biggest problem in life. People start thinking that I know, or my stature or my position is big, that I will not learn from somebody who I consider inferior. But unfortunately, sir, everybody has something to teach. There's a good thought, sir. Water always flows to the lowest plane.
Yes.
If you stay humble, you will learn more in life.
You got to be dream student throughout your life. Learning is never-ending process.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a never-ending process. At every age or life, you learn. So how this happened, your UN mission in Ethiopia, and how was that experience?
So obviously the HQ was selecting people who had done extensive operation, and the units were being circulated on that. And we had the opportunity to travel, and we were destined to go as a unit together. But I don't think any commander in the higher echelons wanted to send away the entire unit and have that vacuum in Valley. So it works against us. Sometimes the good also works against you. I think this is a classical example where it would have been over and done with in a short time, but then they said, no, we can't have that vacuum. So you can send teams. When that team comes, you would send the other. In no way you can have that absence. So that's how UN happened as a unit for us. It was very exciting. I'll be honest. It was very exciting. It was a very different environment for us to go to another country.
Yeah.
This whole idea of foreign posting is so exciting because you are just roaming in jungles and mountains.
I know.
That's all the world you see.
And that is what you always wanted.
Yeah. And then suddenly somebody says you can go to a different country and operate. Great. This is exciting. So we went there, and again, I'd like to mention this because in our mission, one of the missions we were there was this gentleman who was from the Pakistan Army who had retired, and he had come for a mission earlier, and then he put up his paper and he was part of the
UN mission.
Yeah, he was part of the UN headquarters over in the African mission. So typically we have this whole thing going on. I'm not a warmonger, so I'd like we need to be realistic.
Yeah.
So this gentleman was extremely helpful. We had this ice-breaking issue, but later when we went and asked for some help, sir, he would just give us the most. And this whole exposure of multiple nations cooperating together to execute the mission is a great learning. But for me, the highlight is we fight here on this side, and then you go to Africa and you have the most thickest bond. I must say this, hats off to the lady, ma'am, used to cook for us. She used to invite us. Yes, we couldn't have a lot of social interaction, to be frank, because I'm sure his job entails, or is back in his country, he has his own units that would say, how can you interact? So we had this very rigid conversation, but we had kindness and warmth and everything there. But just because we are who we are, there are things that we can speak about, and then we are rigid about it, zipped. So she used to, sir, cook for us, invite us. And as youngsters, we've had some of the best time, best food. But he's not talk much because of the obvious reasons.
I know. And he was the force commander?
No, sir. He was, force commander was ours at that time when we were there in that mission.
Okay.
But this gentleman was from, and sir, my team commander and him were on the opposite sides and during Kargil. So you can imagine that ice breaking, how it took. Yeah. So,
okay. During Kargil, eh?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you can imagine our guys were operating generally in that envelope. So I'm sure he would have complaints about us.
So this was, how much was this tenure in the UN mission?
So one location was 6 months.
Okay. And that was middle of your career in the army, or
yes,
end of the career?
Middle of the career. So there was a couple of other missions going on, but typically one mission was around 6 months. But we were a little different. We were the Force Reserve Company, which was supposed to be armed.
So what stage, Albert, you had a thought of leaving the army and then coming back to the folds of your civil life? Sir,
have you heard this expression, once bitten, twice as shy?
Yeah.
Sir, I didn't hear that. Yeah, I heard it a little late. Now this gets into this embarrassing situation where how does a guy get into the same situation twice, no?
I know.
Yes, sir. So I must say this. Yeah, I fell in love again.
Okay.
This is where I feel embarrassed to say. So now I've learned life, but just pardon my slow learning in that topic.
Yeah.
So 5 years down the lane, you start thinking about.
But you completed your commitment of 5 years, whatever you given initially.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a great. Very graceful.
Yes. So
yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So I had the urge to come out because it favored in the benefit of the other person. Okay. Because where I was, sir, if you had somebody, if you had a partner, that partner would have to leave everything and come down and sit in a place which you know, sir. Being in a city and the opportunities that they would have and coming to where we are, especially where we are. So
yeah.
It will be very difficult.
But it must have been a little difficult decision for you.
Perhaps the most difficult.
Yeah, I can understand.
There is not even a single day that goes by that doesn't make me feel regret.
Sometimes the situations make you take such decisions.
Being away from 9 is not simple.
Yeah. So how was then, Albert, coming from such a action-packed environment to a simply comfort zone of city life again? It must have been very difficult for you to reconcile your situation.
Yes. So when you start doing the same thing, You've seen these people who cut so fast in cooking shows. It almost feels like they're going to chop off their finger, right? It looks risky to us. So our life there was what were we are natural about, hunting, right? We were good at what we did, and we felt comfortable in that danger. That was our life. And sometimes even the most mundane things can be out of your comfort zone. So coming out wasn't that easy, sir. Firstly, it had its own, the whole story of how I got out. But once outside, the world looked very different because you've gone, sir, you're out of civilizational touch, and then you suddenly want to orient yourself. I had a tough time to even realize what is what in this world. And some were helpful, sir, some were adding to the confusion and saying that, yaar, ye bahut complicated hai, tere bas ki baat nahi hai. Ye har jagah pe milta hai, sir, log to confuse you.
Yeah, I know.
Apne fraternity se lekar har jagah pe, there is a lot of people who feel that, you know, they got out and they got across the ridge and now they've accomplished. When you come, they forget that, yeah, they were also clueless at some point. Na? So the point I'm trying to make is that it's not necessary when you are thrown into a situation, na, you'll get help.
Yeah.
You will not get help, sir. You may get, but you will not get help. But if you've decided to do it, na, then the onus is on you to figure out how to survive. और मेरा केस भी ऐसा ही था, सर. मैं आया, सर, मैं बहुत सारे लोगों से बात भी किया, कुछ लोग एडवाइस किया, कुछ लोग ऐसे प्रिटेंड किया कि वो अभी हमारे भाई नहीं है, कॉर्पोरेट का है. There are people who have completely not even revealed that they are from the fraternity.
Oh.
Yeah. There are all kinds of, there are all kinds of people.
I know this situation happens. Yes.
Yeah.
People are.
I like the fact that you write Colonel Tyagveer Raghava, right? I write proudly Captain Albert Lewis. There are people who will not put the rank. So there are all kinds of people. Yeah. And I've come across all kinds of people. God bless whoever they are. The point is, you will find these hurdles out there. And whether you get help or you don't get help, if you've chosen to be out, you'll try to. So my job was, my plan was very simple, sir. It's good to align yourself to something and learn first in an environment. And this is something that we also followed back in where we were, sir, operating. So I make this very clear. Maybe it sounds arrogant. We know where we operate very well. And maybe it sounds arrogant, but we know very well because we walk through every inch. But even, sir, after some time when we go out of that area and come back, we don't say that, yaar, ye to hamare se zyada koi nahi janta area. Hum pehla din hi nikal jayenge operation. Aisa nahi karte, sir. The world is a harsh place. So you have to be humble. You have to say, yaar, kuch din hum bahar the, maybe situations changed. So it's better to orient and calm down. Calm down, relax, chill. And learn, orient, and then operate. So that has to be there, sir. Nikal gaya aur kuch ho jayega. So same way, my thing was that I don't know much about this world. I'll work with someone and I'll figure this world out and I'll orient. I'll not give it too much time. So I did work with consulting firms. And then I realized that I need to do something different. And do something different was because I always found that when I was moving around, that people were stuck with the same old practices of risk consulting. The business was the same. So I said, this is not nice. The world deserves more. And the people who we are advising to deserves more because there are better ways to advise them or protect them. Why are we not doing it? So that led me to start the organization. But it is a bootstrap. It was a bootstrap organization. You're not an entrepreneur. You're not like somebody has told you how to do it. So there was a lot of heartburns and heartaches to build this up. Bombay is not a cheap place, sir. Bombay is an expensive place.
Yes.
So staying alive when you have to take care of the family and all the expenses, it was not easy. There are times I've thought that I should give up, but then, like I said earlier, I don't let that come in. Your friends tell you, yeah, what are you doing? Are you crazy? You've been off with this company thing for the longest time and you're not earning anything. So I kept on my track, sir, and I never let the doubts or eat me up. I just kept doing, and I made a plan, and I was not crazy about the plan. my plan was constantly calibrated with the realities of the world. I'm not saying that मैंने सोचा तो मैं ये करके ऐसा पागल नहीं हूँ. I was very clear. This is my concept, and I should align the concept with the business needs of the hour, and I should be constantly evolving this plan also. So I kept on it. Yes, I didn't have success in the beginning, but then slowly my belief system, against all the odds where people advised not to, allowed us to grow to what we are 13 years down the lane as a company which is unique in its own proposition. We do things that others don't.
And Albert, that is what I will say. That is the mantra of the success. Having the self-belief, then courage, commitment, and consistency, despite all the odds, will make you successful. And I believe that is where you have come out with this specialist advisory and intervention group, isn't it?
Yes, sir. We've been dealing with AI for the last 7-8 years. I mean, people didn't even know much. We were dealing with cutting edge AI. And everybody in the business sphere who knew us, who said, you are investing all your resources into AI, and people don't even know the reality of AI, what AI is. But it was the futuristic thinking that we knew that this was a big mountain to climb. The earlier you start, by the time people wake up to this, the learning curve is huge. So you would have already burned your body, fingers, face, eyes, and learned your mistakes. At least you will be in rags, but there you'll be with your wisdom. So we did, sir. We have made mistakes. We have burned our skin. We've done a lot, spent a lot of money. But today we can very clearly say that we're far ahead of the most of the people who are in risk consulting when it comes to purely at a core level, at a modeling level.
Fantastic. But Albert, I'm sure that your learning of whatever time you were there with the signals, or thereafter in the special forces, or holistically the army learning, must have certainly helped you in creating differentiator in your organization, which must be the different than the other, and that is why you survived.
Yes, indeed, sir. Indeed. So today SAIG, I would say there are two. If you read that, it says specialist advisory and intervention group. Yeah. Now, primarily we believe that this is something we believed in back in the days of operation also. You can make somebody so fit, sir, so fit and tactically sound. But uske baad kya? Are you going to give him a sword and shield? Or are you going to give him a AK or whatever you want to give him? Or are you going to give him night vision, thermal vision, good communication, X, Y, Z? The fact is, technology is very important. So from my life, if I would personally speak, my journey starts with my father and electronics and all that stuff, that familiarity. My life in signals and the affiliation of understanding that world where the technology component comes in. My life in 9, which gives me that never say die attitude.
Yes.
And the tactical component of it. And along with that, while addressing strategic level problems, while in 9, you're always involved in things that are of national and international level. So all this combined together, sir, the lookout was how to bear in mind what the next big game is. So I don't think I would be anything without armies.
Yes.
I would be anything without army. I think I would be just still floating around the same streets, chilling out and seeing the same thing. I go meet my friends. I meet those old people who we used to hang out with. And I realized that in so many years, they are still saying the same jokes.
I know.
Talking the same thing.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate. So, yes, sir. Everything is...
Army, see, that army that gives you that character of a winner. Okay.
Sir, it's hard to quantify everything that army gives. But yes, when you get into a situation, and if you're able to work through it, 99.99%, it's what army is giving.
Absolutely. It's a character of a winner. Yes. And nobody can give you, nobody can teach you that. I don't think anywhere you will achieve that kind of learning.
Yes.
So, Albert, I believe that after you transcend to the corporate world, you did some of the things like very crazy thing, Khatron Ka Khiladi or B3 Commando. Audience would like to know that, love to know that.
So I had a small time with Channel V back in the days, much before I
I
joined.
know. I know.
So most of my friends who were back then, that is when the industry was getting privatized. So those people there are people mostly who were working in at a senior most level in majority of the organizations.
Oh,
So that association stayed even during my army time. Whenever I got on leave, I used to come to Bombay, meet all my friends. That association always stayed. So one leg is the army, and one leg is that industry, music, entertainment. That industry always stayed
ah,
very close to it, even to. So when I got out, these opportunities definitely popped up because these were happening, and they would just like call and say, "Hey, man, this is
yeah.
happening." So I had the unique opportunity to work with Shah Rukh,
Okay.
and all that. Uh, good experience. And
Akshay Kumar.
yeah, Akshay, Fear Factor, the first season,
Ah.
there was a unique opportunity to be
Achha,
part
that was the first season only
of the
when you got?
first season was Fear Factor,
Oh,
the original one which was there. Then Shah Rukh ke saath, this one, Zor Ka Jhatka, which is an adaptation of the Wipeout, which is actually Wipeout. It's
okay.
called in Indian market. It is called as Zor Ka Jhatka, but the international format of Wipeout, which Shah Rukh was one of his first debuts in television.
Yeah,
That one, and then with UTV, make a show completely from scratch called D3. So this is that other side, sir.
yeah, yeah.
The other part which is there. You can do so many things in life. It
I'm,
doesn't
I'm
have to be one thing.
infinite possibilities if you want to do.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. You set your limits.
Yes. You set your limits.
You
Yes.
set your limits.
Yes.
You say you can do 10 things,
Yes.
you can
Yes.
do 10 things. You just have to plan. Okay, you may need a team, you may need somebody to. Yes, you got 24 hours. Sir, the world worked in linear processing. Now, then parallel compute. Now GPUs have come into play. Yeah. So everything is possible.
Everything is
You just
okay.
have to accept that you can do it. You just have to stop doubting yourself.
Yes, yes. That is the life learn. That is life learning. The moment you see that yes, you can do it, means you can do it. And you have proved it that. You have proved it from where to where and finally where. So that shows the character of a winner. So finally, Albert, since you are a musician, you are a singer, anything, would you like to share something with your guitar or something?
I don't have anything, sir. I
Okay.
wish I could have because if I was in Bombay, I would have definitely done that.
I know,
But
I know, I
here
know.
I'm sitting in a room which my father uses literally like a storeroom.
Okay,
He
okay,
puts
okay.
stuff around. So this has become my de facto office when I come here. Not to
Okay.
disturb anyone. This is like at one corner of the house.
But if you can just give out some wordings, means you are a good singer, I know that.
It's been a while, sir. It's been a while.
Yeah,
But certainly some other times.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how does this work, sir? Is there other people on the?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they asking you questions or
They were asking question.
no? I mean, is others
No, no, they
already?
are not asking question. They are not asking
Okay.
question because though it is a live on YouTube and Facebook, but I don't entertain the questions.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's very focused things.
yeah, yeah,
But I really want to thank you for the opportunity, sir.
yeah, yeah. In fact, let me thank you so much that you give so much of wisdom, and I'm really very happy that special forces, the kind of character you have mentioned, and I have learned many things that what is needed for that. First is the being the best human being, and then the humility. Then you said that value system, and that is what is needed for a good human being as such. And that is why you guys are the best persons, best sought after people, and I have seen the most successful people coming from this organization. So, Albert, on behalf of me and my viewers, thank you so much sharing so much of your value of lives and your life as such. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much, sir, and thanks everyone out there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, very nice. And